Welcome to the Buy Canadian Super Hour. Maple Leaf forever. Welcome to this very special Canada Day edition of the Buy Canadian Super Hour. I'm your host, Dave, and we're all about shopping for Canadian goods from Canadian brands. BuyCanadianGroup.tv is where you can go shopping at the first all-Canadian online department store. We make it easy to buy and discover Canadian goods, and we're out there curating Canadian brands. So if you are a Canadian brand or you know one, also come to the site. There's a place where you can sign up to add your products. There's no listing fees. We're just here to help you, promote you to Canadians, help with your discovery. We got a great show for you today. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to be able to shop right against the show. There's in the chat room, there's a tab that says shopping, and you can go ahead and buy any of the products that we're featuring right on screen. And when you buy a product on the Buy Canadian Super Hour, we play this beautiful sound, and we want to hear that sound today. So hopefully you'll find some stuff you're interested in buying. But of course, our entire product catalog is available over at buycanadiangroup.ca. I also want to mention, if you are watching on Facebook or any social network, come on down to buycanadian.tv, and you can join us here with our real-time interactive program. You can shop right on screen. It's a lot of fun when you get to kind of join the community here. Throughout, we're going to be taking audience questions, so feel free to be active in the chat room, ask questions of me and our guest. Speaking of which, we have a slight change in program for today. I was thinking we were going to be hosting Lex from Lex's Pantry, but she's actually going to be joining us next week. So that's going to still be a lot of fun. Instead, we have a very special guest, one of the Buy Canadian investors and the CEO of Canadian ad agency 59, Al Scornaienchi, will be joining us for an interview. We're going to be talking about, what he thinks, why he believes in the Buy Canadian mission, what he's doing to support, and, some of the stuff around marketing for Canadian brands as well. We're also going to be playing the Canadian or Not game, and we'll see how everybody does this week. That's where we show a person, place, or thing, and we let the audience vote on whether they think it's actually Canadian or not. It's been a lot of fun. We've been doing that every week, and we're also going to be continuing our music spotlights. We have one of the great brands in our store is Vinyl Pursuit, and they've got some amazing collection of Canadian vinyl. So today we're going to be taking a look at Hank Snow from Nova Scotia, a very famous and influential Canadian musician. And I think there's some cool facts we're going to share. We'll be jumping right into that. Also today, we are going to be running a giveaway, and I'm going to start that right now. So I'm going to activate the giveaway. If you want to join the giveaway, just put in your name and your email, and we will be doing draws for winners. And the winners will get a 20% discount to use on the Buy Canadian Super Hour next week. So I encourage you to join up for that, for a chance to do some real savings. But whenever you're shopping at Buy Canadian Group, you are supporting Canadian brands. We do the work of kind of vetting who's Canadian and how Canadian are they for you, so you can make informed decisions. So it's a lot of fun. But this is all about online shopping, and we are going to start by featuring a product from Vinyl Pursuits, which is Hank Snow, because I think that's what I want to do first, is kind of dig into Hank Snow, and for those of you who don't know him, provide some interesting facts. Maybe I've even got some interesting facts that those of you who do know who he is would find interesting, or maybe learn about. So why don't we jump right into that and take a look at Hank Snow. So you can actually click on the right on the browser to buy the album. We have a few Hank Snow albums available today, but I've got my Nova Scotia home up first because it feels like the most Canadian. So let's talk about Hank Snow. Was his name really Hank? His real name was actually Clarence Eugene Snow, but he went by Hank, and he was born on the 9th of May in 1914 in Brooklyn. Now, not Brooklyn, New York, Brooklyn, Nova Scotia. And he later earned the nickname the Singing Ranger. The Singing Ranger. His breakthrough single, I'm Moving On, spent an unprecedented 21 straight weeks at number one. That's huge. 44 weeks total on Billboard's country chart in 1950. Hank Snow joined the Grand Ole Opry on January 7th, 1950, and he remained a member there for nearly 50 years until his death 26 years ago in 1999. Across a 5-decade career, Hank Snow recorded about 140 albums. That is quite prolific. That's more than an album a year, that's for sure. And he also logged more than 85 Billboard country chart hits between 1950 and 1980. He entered the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1979, and he is also enshrined in both the Canadian Country Music and Canadian Music Halls of Fame. Clearly very well deserving of that, given his massive international success. This is interesting. In 1955, Snow and Colonel Tom Parker briefly co-managed and did the bookings for the up-and-coming Elvis Presley before Parker took sole control. So Hank Snow was an early discoverer of Elvis. Snow's 1962 rendition of I've Been Everywhere, one of my favorite songs to sing on karaoke, extremely challenging. It shot to number 1 on the country chart, and it popularized the rapid fire travel tune in North America, which was hence covered by many others. I think Hank Williams covered it. I know Stompin' Tom covered it, and I know I covered it too. I've Been Everywhere, man. At age 59, Snow topped the chart again with Hello Love in 1974, making him the oldest artist at the time to score a number 1 country single. So even pushing senior citizen, this guy's still making number 1 hits. A great tribute to Canada and Nova Scotia. He also created the Hank Snow International Foundation for the Prevention of Child Abuse in 1978, channeling his concert proceeds to youth shelters. So he was really giving back to the community as well. And his home studio estate in the U.S., the Rainbow Ranch in Madison, Tennessee, was built in 1951 and was listed on the U.S. National Register of Historic Places in 2018, which is interesting as they, were there honoring a Canadian. So that's a little bit of information on Hank Snow. We have the My Nova Scotia Home available here. We also have a record called The Legend of Old Doc Brown, which sounds super interesting. I'm not 100% up on what's on there, but it's cool. And then there's a collaboration with Chet Atkins as well. Chet Atkins and Hank Snow reminiscing. And that's a German pressing from 1964. Which somehow Vinyl Pursuit has got their hands on and has now made available here in the Buy Canadian Group store. So if you want to go shopping for all of the Vinyl Pursuit albums or any of the brands we feature on the Buy Canadian store, go on down to buycanadiangroup.ca and you can go shopping. You can also shop right here for select products that we're featuring in today's Buy Canadian Super Hour. So Andrew's saying happy belated Canada Day. I want to say that as well. Thank you for the reminder. This is Canada Day week, and in fact started at least in Ontario on the last Friday of June. So if you don't know, the last Friday of June in Ontario has now been declared Buy Canadian Day. We're going to take credit for that. It's all about the Buy Canadian online department store. The province is honoring us. The country is honoring us. We've become a national holiday as far as I'm concerned. So it's really fun. And I hope everybody had a great Canada Day and that, you all had a good time and celebrated. I know I saw a ton more flags and everything. It was really cool. Okay, so before we get into playing some more games, we're going to feature a bunch of products today. But I want to bring in a very special guest, and I want to thank him for joining us here at the last second because I had my dates wrong and I thought Lex was going to be on today, but she's actually on next week. So another good reason to tune in next week. But I want to bring in, one of Buy Canadian Group's top investors and a real supporter, and has been helping so much build the store. So I thought it'd be great to bring him on and share his insights and talk a little marketing. And we're also going to go through some of the products in the store and highlight them to you. But I want to bring on Al Scornaienchi right now. Al, hello. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully, you can hear me okay.
I can hear you great. It's awesome to have you on the show today.
Oh, thanks very much.
So, maybe start by introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and tell us about Agency 59. I believe you're an all Canadian agency. And
We are.
so give us a little background on Al, and then we can talk a little by Canadian.
Sure. So our agency, as you mentioned, is called Agency 59. We've been around since the year 1959. The agency was originally founded by a guy by the name of Dalton Camp, who went off and tried to become Canada's prime minister, actually.
Right.
So we've been around for a long, long time. We're a mid-sized Canadian agency. We've got about 31, 32 staff. We're in the Lower Junction area of Toronto. But yeah, we're an integrated ad agency. So we do, everything from television ads to digital ads, social media ads, any of the media that you'd see out on the streets, outdoor magazines, stuff like that. So yeah, that's a bit about our
I
agency.
know you work mostly with or all with Canadian brands. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of American brands, obviously, who've done work in Canada. And so, along the years, we've worked with some American brands as well and some global companies. We were one of the ad agencies for Mercedes-Benz, actually, for example,
Wow.
for like 15 years. So, but lots of times with those companies, they have Canadian offices, Canadian employees, and, and market here to Canadians.
Since the Buy Canadian movement has taken hold, have you seen any difference in terms of, at least with the Canadian brands that you work with, in terms of how Canadian they want their marketing to be?
Right, absolutely. I mean, all you have to do is watch television, and it's amazing to me how many brands now, if there's a strong Canada connection, you'll see a little maple leaf right on their packaging. If it's not on their packaging because they're selling a service, you'll see the little maple leaf right on their commercials, right?
Right.
So, that used to be the case as well before. Like, say, for example, I don't know, you might get a company like Home Depot and even though Home Depot is an American company, they do buy a lot of lumber from Canada and those kinds of things. So you always saw the little Canadian maple leaf find its way onto certain packaging and onto certain products. But now you see it more than ever. Now it's like if there's any company out there that is either Canadian owned, has Canadian employees, is doing their manufacturing in Canada, there's no way that they are not going to put
Right.
that maple leaf on their packaging or in their advertising. Yeah, absolutely. There you go, right in your shirt.
Yeah, exactly. So, tell me about what attracted you to the Buy Canadian group, because it's been so wonderful having you as an investor and an advisor in this project.
Yeah, thank you.
What did you what was the most interesting piece to you that made you want to get involved?
Yeah, so when the tariff discussions started happening on the, in the media, I guess primarily, it was, I don't think it was a shock to everybody, but maybe the degree to which America seemed to be turning its back on Canada and the extent of the tariffs. This wasn't like 5% or 2% or something. It was like 25%.
Yeah.
I think the entire country was first and foremost offended. And then, secondly, it kind of reawakened us a bit because it made us realize that we need to be supporting Canadian businesses, fellow Canadians, and kind of like what goes around comes around. Like if we're all helping Canadian brands and products, we're helping ourselves. And so, that silly expression that's out there, elbows up, like everybody suddenly got their elbows up.
Mhm.
And I realized how big it was. I think the very first time I went to the grocery store after all that tariff stuff hit the news, because I saw everybody taking the package and kind of flipping it around. And, normally in the past, people would be looking at like a calorie count, right? If they're
Right.
looking at the back of a package, it's like, how many calories does this thing have? But now they were looking to see where was this product manufactured. And that was just a major pivotal shift in
Yeah.
how consumers, act and how loyal they are. And right away I saw, wow, this is really big. This is like not just, a small percentage of kind of environmentally conscious or politically conscious people. This is gonna like the population of Canada at large is going to be more loyal toward Canadian products than ever before. And then when I heard about this business that you were creating, it was almost for me a no-brainer. Like, I saw the potential in it, and I mean, as you know, because I've said this before, I really believe this shift in consumer behavior, it's not a temporary shift. I think even if all of these tariff issues get resolved, I believe that Canadians have realized that, you know what, longer term, we need to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to help support other Canadian businesses. And there's some incredible benefits that are coming out of this. For example, I know for sure that there are companies now in British Columbia in the Okanagan Valley that are starting to formulate like um, what would be normally called bourbon, which is a corn mash
Right.
whiskey, right? So, and then you're seeing new clothing companies start up. You're seeing new toy companies start up. So, I mean, this is going to be really great because a lot of really wonderful Canadian specialty brands are going to emerge now, and will hopefully have a better chance at survival and being able to prosper because they have at least the Canadian population behind them, right? So we're going to see great new strong Canadian brands, which is a benefit to all of us, and that's a really good thing.
No, that's amazing. I mean, it's been really rewarding to sort of see that, and I experienced the same thing going into the grocery stores. It wasn't just people looking at the backs of the packages to see where things were made. I felt like people were actually calling each other out when you put something in your basket that wasn't necessarily Canadian. And like, hey, you shouldn't be buying that. Like the
Right?
passion was
Oh my
there, right?
God.
It was
Yeah, absolutely.
truly
Yeah.
amazing.
And even I had done a post on Facebook in the early days where I said, if any, it's kind of, in a bit of a fun way, but I was saying to my
Right.
friends, listen, if you invite me over for dinner and you bring out a California wine, I'm walking out.
Right.
Like, so, I want to, and then that doesn't mean that we're only going to buy Canadian, because of course you can buy wine from Italy, you can buy wine from France, you can buy beautiful white wines from Germany, but just generally speaking, whenever it's possible, we should be supporting Canadian brands, right? So I'm really
100%.
hoping, for example, that this Christmas season, or this holiday season, that a lot of shoppers who normally do online shopping for gifts for their friends and family look toward Buy Canadian Group's site
Yep.
and see what's available there. And again, that doesn't mean that they're never going to buy something on Amazon, because Amazon has such a deep inventory that if you're looking for something really specific, like, I don't know, something for your aquarium at home, maybe you're going to look on Amazon because that's the only place you're going to find it, right?
Attention,
But it just
Canadian
means that,
aquarium stores. Call us.
yeah. But
Cool.
hopefully, like, people will now be buying more Canadian products than ever before. And I think what's really great about this site is it lets you discover new brands, right?
We're seeing that people are out there buying Canadian on our site already, which is really wonderful to see. And before we kind of change direction and start looking at some of the brands on the site, which I think would be good, I wanted to just let everybody know that we really want Buy Canadian Group to be owned by Canadians like you. So we are going to be launching an equity crowdfund with the Canadian equity crowdfunding company Front Funder. So in the coming weeks, there's going to be an opportunity for anybody to be able to make small investments on their credit card, take an ownership stake in the Buy Canadian Superstore, and really, have it owned by Canadians, which I think that's going to promote a ton of brand loyalty. That's going to give people confidence that it's going to stay Canadian. It's a cool thing. So if you want to get on the list for that, we've already had hundreds of Canadians get on the list. Just go over to buycanadiangroup.ca and click on become an owner. Send us your email and we'll let you know when the crowd investment round opens up. Very cool. We're getting a question coming in from the audience here, which I want to bring up before we start spotlighting products. So Sarah's asking about the movement, or at least following up that the movement hit strongly with food and groceries, as we were just discussing. She wants to know how we can better extend the trend to all other consumer goods. And I think that, part of that's what we're doing here. But I wondered if you have any, it's such a long comment. I'm going to remove it so it doesn't cover your face, but I'm curious to hear your answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think the comment's really valid. I think the other area that was right after food and groceries was travel. So the first thing we did was, and it was maybe because it was the easiest thing for us to do, was let's start at the grocery store. Somebody had said to me before, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but somebody had said that 70% of the food in an average Canadian's fridge was from America prior to this movement shift, right? So hopefully it wasn't that high, but if it was that high, at the very least, I'm hoping now it's like 50, 60, 70% Canadian foods. But the easiest thing for us to do was to do whatever we did at the grocery store. Second was, and I know firsthand a lot of people who canceled casual trips to America, right? Like it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean, if they have a family that's having a wedding in Nashville, they're going to go to the wedding, of course. But just generally speaking, they're not going to be immediate to like, oh, let's go to Florida every year and let's cross over the border to pick up some groceries and stuff. So travel was the second thing. And I think the third thing is some of these goods that are available on the Buy Canadian website, like clothing, right? And a lot of the clothing doesn't necessarily come from America. Maybe it comes from, manufacturing is very affordable in China, as we all know. So lots of clothing and stuff is produced there. And even, in fact, some of the Canadian owned brands that are available for sale on the Buy Canadian site have to do their manufacturing in other countries. That's just a reality of the world so that we stay cost competitive. And that's okay too. But what I think is going to start happening is more and more Canadian brands are going to try to do their manufacturing here at home, here in Canada. More and more, we're going to get Canadian brands launching new products, hopefully, if they have more of a captive audience here in Canada. So, this online movement, like literally what this website is doing, is kind of the next step after first groceries, then travel. Now we're starting to, kind of ask ourselves, well, what else could we be doing? The other big shift that's happening, which is really incredible, is governments right across the country, not just the federal government, who of course are, trying to negotiate best they can with America, but municipalities all across the country are now trying to do business with Canadian owned companies more than ever before. So you're seeing these announcements, like I think Collingwood, the municipality of Collingwood said, we're not going to hire American lawyers, American architects, American engineers. We're going to hire Canadians to
That's
do
great.
whatever that municipality has to get done, right? It could be like studies or feasibility studies, or whatever kind of work municipalities are typically doing. They're going to try to give all of that work to Canadian service industry companies, right? So that's yet another
Seems to
area
me they
where,
should have been doing that the whole time. But
right?
good to get woken up, I guess.
Yeah, it's good. It's kind of not better late than never, but I mean, it's good that and that's why I think some of these shifts are not going to go back even if the tariff issue gets resolved. I think we've realized now, wow, there's a huge value in supporting Canadian businesses, right? So even if we negotiate with the US and it all gets settled, and you think, well, then everyone's just going to forget about it and go back to the way they were. No, I don't think so. Like, it may shift a little bit back, and maybe we'll be a bit more open-minded to buying, I don't know, American cookies in the grocery store or something. But generally speaking, I think the awareness of how important it is to support local, support domestic, I think that awareness is going to cause a permanent shift in Canadians, which speaks to the viability of this site longer term.
Agreed. Now, if they, it's one thing taking bourbon off the shelves, it's another thing taking Oreos off the shelves. There'll be a mass rebellion.
Right.
We'll have to make some kind of Canadian Oreo knockoff.
Right, for
Although
sure.
it's probably
Yeah.
best no one eats that stuff anyway. Cool. Well, you've been talking about Canadian fashion brands, and that's one thing we haven't done a lot of here. I got to bring some of the Canadian fashion brand owners onto the Super Hour to talk. But one of the great Canadian designers who have joined Buy Canadian group is Helene Clarkson Designs. And we haven't really featured her products on the show yet, and I'll invite her to come and join us in a future super hour. But I figured maybe we could, take a look at some of her products and see if someone is interested. I've been featuring them as we've been talking. She's got a beautiful sustainable t-shirt here. I think she's also very well known for her travel gear, stuff that's comfortable, it travels well, easy to pack. She also has a very cool reversible jacket, which I'm featuring here today. So all those products are available here in the chat room or on buycanadiangroup.ca. You can search the entire Helene Clarkson design collection there. Another brand that just joined, which I'm kind of excited about because I think they're a really cool Canadian brand. And I think something that people want to buy more as staples versus nice to haves is there's a nutrition brand called Purely Naturals that just joined the store. And I've got some of their products available here today. Like they do things like, let's say, getting liquid greens, right? I think a lot of people buy these products. You see them in all kinds of big stores. So we were really excited when they added their products here. Hey, do you ever do stuff like taking supplements like chlorophyll?
Well, it's funny you say that. I've always been kind of good and bad with stuff like that. I'll make a conscious decision to try to eat healthier, and then I'll buy, liquid greens and things like that. I'll go on a run for a little while, and then for some reason it falls off my radar. And like 3 months passes, and then it's like, oh darn, I got to get back on that treadmill, So
Right. Yeah, I think that's pretty common. I mean, they have everything from vitamin B12, which we now sell here. So you can come to buycanadiangroup.ca and actually get healthy and support Canadian brands.
right,
It's amazing.
perfect.
So we'll be featuring them on a future show. I think the week after next, Purely Natural is going to be joining us here, and we can kind of dive deep into some of their product line. But they got some really cool
Love
stuff
it.
like Siberian ginseng, which I know is a super power booster, etc.
Yeah.
The other brand I thought might be fun for us to highlight is, we've got a couple of Indigenous owned brands in the Buy Canadian Group.ca superstore. And I thought we could feature those today in honor of Canada Day. The first is one we haven't featured here on the Super Hour before, but I definitely want to, and that's Mother Earth Organics. So they've got some really cool stuff. Like, I don't know how many of you know about sweetgrass, but it's a very traditional, indigenous, I guess it's a plant. So they've got a bunch of cool sweetgrass stuff here. I think the Experience Sweetgrass Pack that we're featuring here, that allows you to kind of try everything on the sweetgrass front. But they also, if you want to just pick up some aromatherapy mist, and or if you want to go straight to the source and get like pure natural nature identical sweetgrass oil, I think there's a lot of health benefits as well, and I'm sure the benefits go beyond that too. The other one that we are really proud to have here is, we're proud to have all the brands here, but one of the biggest brands in Canada is also Indigenous owned, and that's Cheekbone Beauty. And they have an amazing line of makeup, and I think they're very popular. It's kind of a hot Canadian brand, so we're also honored to feature them in the store. I have this all-in-one pack featured here, so if you're looking for a gift item for someone in your world, it looks like it's more youth oriented, judging by the colors and the future generations. I don't know for sure, but we have this pack available. Also, if you just want to pick up some lip gloss, you can do that on the Buy Canadian Superstore too. And then they've got, they do these limited edition things, which I think are really kind of neat. Kind of build scarcity and excitement around certain products. So one we've got still available is this Stardust Shimmer Stackables. And I think what they mean by stackables is you can actually take your different colors and put them into a really cool stack. They've done some really nice things with packaging, and I think that's part of why they're featured in so many brick and mortar stores, and why we were so excited to have them here on
Mm.
by Canadian Superstore.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, these are great um, gift ideas, right?
Mhm.
Because they're really beautiful discovery brands. Like there seems to be such a trend, or there maybe in the last 15 years, there was such a trend toward, you go to somebody's house and it's their birthday, they open up their card and there's like a $50 gift certificate from LCBO.
Right.
It's like how predictable and boring is that, right?
Mhm.
So here now through the site, right, just getting like some of the brands that you've got like Pluck Tea. What a
Yeah.
perfect brand to like give as a sampler fun discovery gift to your friends instead of yet another $25 gift certificate, for Indigo books or something. Like buy a real product, right? Like
Right. And we
so
learned last week when Jennifer from Pluck Tea joined us that they literally put the tea together in here in Canada. They're mixing the leaves, they're testing it, they're packaging it all here. So really brilliant Canadian success story
for sure.
with Pluck Tea, and we were happy to have Jennifer on the show last week.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, good for you. Yeah.
and then, the last sort of product I'm going to feature here from Cheekbone is their essentials kit. So it looks like if you're not exactly sure what to buy from Cheekbone, this is a great choice because you can pick, you basically get kind of some of their best sellers packed in a kit, really nice gift package. Or if you just want to try the Cheekbone products, this is a way to kind of get introduced to the brand. One of the best sellers on our site is Genski Apparel. They've been moving some vests, man. Uh, I think I've featured this vest on the show before, but I know you were mentioning to me that you actually purchased this vest.
I sure
I want to
did.
hear what you thought of it.
Oh my God, it's upstairs, and I hesitate to run and get it, but maybe if once I'm done, I'll go get it, and you can
Cool.
I'll see if I can upload a photo. But the vest just arrived, so it's really cool actually. The front doesn't have a zipper; it just kind of has these loose strings. I mean, it's on the site, so
Yeah.
you can see it there, and it's got a hood. But the reason I wanted a vest is sometimes, especially like in the fall, if you're hiking or you're outside somewhere, like I don't necessarily want to bring a jacket because a jacket is almost too warm. Especially then sometimes you go out in the morning, so the morning's a bit cold. You want something to keep you warm, but then at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's like, oh, now you have to lug this jacket around because the day ended up being so much warmer than you thought it was going to be. So I thought a vest was really perfect because if it's cold in the morning, you can wear a vest and kind of keeps your chest area warm and everything. But then in the afternoon, if it does get super hot, at least your arms are still free, right?
Hmm.
So anyway, it's kind of a rust colored vest, but yeah, I have it.
I
I
see
have it
they
here.
have both rust and black available. So I've got black up on the screen right now, but we also have the rust here. And I think that's the one you got.
That's the one I got. Yeah.
Cool.
And I ordered an extra large just because I wanted to make sure it had a bit of breathing room, in it, because vests are good that way, right? It's not like sometimes if you're buying certain items of clothing, the size has to be absolutely precise or it doesn't kind of feel right on you. But with a vest, there's a little bit of leeway there. So I do encourage people to buy that vest. And it arrived, I think, in like about a week or so,
That's great.
from when I did the order. It arrived at the house.
And it says it's cotton. Can you kind of describe the feel of it for us? Like, is it a
Yeah,
thick cotton?
I guess it must be cotton, but it feels like it's almost like it's light. It's not heavy, but it feels
Okay.
almost like it's a smidge um, canvasy
Yeah,
even.
that's what I was saying. Like a duck cotton, I think they call that, right? Or
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
don't know.
I don't
Yeah,
want to. You don't take the materials from us, but it's
for
definitely
sure.
so it's got a little bit of weight and warmth to it. But you're saying it's also lightweight.
Yeah, it was very lightweight actually when I put it on. I mean, haven't worn it outside, hiking or anything
You
yet.
just got it.
I just tried it on a couple times, but no, it seems like it's pretty lightweight, which you would want in a vest as well, right? And the pockets are really discreet; they're kind of over on the side, but yeah, it's a cool piece of clothing.
No, that's great. So if anybody has any questions for Al or for me, feel free to throw them into the audience chat, and we'll talk about them here on air. We can also let's see here. Al, do you want to stick around to play one of the Canadian or Not games with us?
Well, let me mention one other brand
Oh yeah,
first.
please. Yeah.
Yeah, just since it popped into my mind, but the other brand that is on the site right now is Thorpe Toys,
Yeah.
and
They're a
so
Canadian
we
brand of the week, by the way.
oh, great. Love it, love it. And so when I first saw that they came on board as a brand, I didn't put the kind of pieces together, pardon the pun, but we had some Thorpe toys years ago, like decades ago. It's a great Canadian company with a wonderful heritage. My wife used to buy the Thorpe toys at like, the whatever those great Canadian craft shows that they
Right.
used to have. In our case, we live in Toronto, so downtown Toronto, there'd be those big, I can't remember the names even of the official name of the craft show, but Thorpe toys were famous for being available at a lot of shows across Canada, it's just like a classically designed wooden toy, right? And in a way, in this world that we live in now, where even young kids are like 18 months old and they're already learning how to use devices and iPads and all kinds of things like that, it's really great to kind of counterbalance that with traditional toys, like something just very tangible and
Right. And
something that just kind of functions with wheels that you pull and stuff like that. So anyway, it's just such a great, iconic, historic Canadian brand,
I
Thorpe
definitely had
Toys,
the train whistle when I was a kid. I think an
right?
important thing about Thorpe Toys, and unfortunately I didn't put any into the actual show interface, but you can shop the full collection. That they're featured right now as a Canadian brand of the week right up front on buycanadiangroup.ca. But one of the things I learned about Thorpe Toys is everything is like solid Canadian wood. First of all, like
Right,
it's definitely Canadian wood. It's definitely 100% wood. There's no press board, beaver puke, whatever you want to call it in there. The other thing is they ship the toys unfinished, which is actually really good if you're dealing with like young kids. They're going to put the toy in their mouth. You don't want them,
right,
sucking on varnish or anything. But it also gives you a crafting opportunity with your kids, so you can actually choose to pick some non-toxic paint.
right,
Detail the toy. They have train sets. They have train whistles. They have a flower press. That's another thing I had when I was a kid. We used to go and pick wildflowers and put them in the flower press and then dry them. It's a really fun and educational activity you can do with your kids. So yeah, I'm super excited for Thorpe Toys. I want to get them on the show too because they've got a really interesting story. Like as you mentioned, they've been around for ages. I think since the 70s,
right,
and they've been doing the same thing. And it's just what a great success story to be able to be top of mind. Like when the products when they joined the superstore with the buycanadiangroup.ca, I was like, I recognize this stuff, and I'm hearing that all the time. Like this is like a true iconic, Canadian brand, and they've managed to stay small, fiercely independent, and really true to their roots in terms of their manufacturing processes. They hand carve everything. They use all
right,
Canadian
yeah,
wood, etc. So I
right.
think they're really cool.
Like legit great companies that have just a lot of integrity. And hopefully, there will be not just tens, but hundreds upon hundreds of brands like this on the site, like in the coming months and
Yeah.
years ahead, right? Like I think if there are any shoppers watching and they go to the site, you'll see like a couple dozen brands or whatever is there now, but hopefully that number will be multiplied by 10, by 20 in terms of the number
Oh,
of
it's
brands,
it's been
right?
incredible to see the
So,
response. Like we're getting new brands signing up each day, and we want to let anybody who's watching know we're welcoming any Canadian-owned brand right now, so they can apply to join the store at no cost to them at www.buycanadiangroup.ca. Just click on the four brands page. We'll get you right in the store. It's super easy, low lift, works with your existing e-commerce system. Um, and hey, you're going to get discovered by new companies. We're going to get you here, feature you on the Super Hour, which of course is like it's like better than Johnny Carson in terms of starting your career.
does that mean I'm Ed?
Yeah, no, it means you're going up to number one now that you've appeared here. I was thinking we could get an AI Ed McMahon. That was on my agenda, but I haven't
Right, for
gotten around
sure.
to it because all you need them
Card
to do is go
cardboard cutout.
yes, ha, ha, ha,
That's
yes,
right. His laugh was trademark.
something like that. Cool. Well, Al, I want to thank you for coming in here. It was
Thank
amazing that
you.
you were able to step in at the last minute. It was really interesting, kind of hearing your perspective on why you joined the Buy Canadian Group ownership group, which is going to be open to all of Canada very soon. As I mentioned, if you want to become an owner, Buy Canadian, go over to the invest link on our webpage and you can put your name in, and we'll let you know as soon as we launch the crowdfunding campaign, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. Like, as I said, we really want Buy Canadian to be owned by Canadians, Canadians like you, not just, crazy investment funds. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Like, I don't want to call it a co-op, but I do want to have like a shared feeling of ownership among all Canadians, and make it accessible to any Canadian who wants to take some shares in the company without, making a
Mm.
massive investment. Although those are welcome as well.
Yeah, sometimes with investments, you'll see these companies out there like, I don't know, Netflix or whatever it is, Apple, and you say to yourself, "Darn, why didn't I buy that? Like, why didn't I buy some stock in Netflix like 10 years ago when like I was using it and people around me weren't didn't even hadn't even heard of it yet or whatever." So what you don't want to do is like a year from now when this site's like thriving, say, "Darn, I
Right.
should have invested like a year ago and I had the chance and I watched Dave Lazar on the Super Hour live. So this is that chance to make the decision now so you don't
Absolutely.
regret it a year or two later when, you've got you missed out that horrible I missed out feeling."
Well, it's truly a chance to get in on the ground floor. And I think that's really where the best opportunities lie. And I think a unique one here because, we haven't even fully launched the online department store yet. We're just in the early days, bringing the first brands. I want to thank everyone watching for being part of our pre-launch community, because that's helping us figure out what people like. Suggest a product to us. We're very open. We're getting back to people right away. So if you have questions, hit us up. We're super excited about the future here. And as Al said, this Canadian crowdfund, which is coming up, is going to be kind of a one time only chance. After, we're going to get the money in the door, and then we're going to use that money to market and let Canadians know this exists. Let Canadian brands know we have another way for them to be discovered by Canadians. And it's not just Canadians. Actually, there's maybe one more thing we could chat about um, before we go. It is, I think what we're seeing is people in Scandinavia, in Europe, they see Canada on the front lines of this paradigm shift in global trade, and really are looking to support Canadians. I think you told me once when we were talking that you'd actually posted in one of the Scandinavian groups and received a really overwhelming response. Maybe to close our interview today, just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I posted in a group that has most of the people, I guess, are from Denmark in the group. And so I just used Google Translate, and boy, the response was incredible. Like, I was getting hundreds of comments every hour
Wow.
from this Facebook post. And I think Denmark, right alongside Canada, was very offended by some of the American president's comments regarding Greenland, right? And then in Canada's this 51st state thing.
Right.
So probably countries like Canada and Denmark are at the kind of top of the list. Maybe Mexico right below that. Countries that where I think our back is up, our elbows are up. So I think some of these countries are thinking, okay, we're going to support our own country, like in Canada, we're going to support Canadian brands, but not everything available for sale is going to be from Canada. So it's like if somebody used to buy California wine, maybe now they'll also buy some wine from Italy and France and stuff. And in Denmark, they were thinking, what products can we buy that were Canadian besides the classic maple syrup? Like if you're in Denmark, maple syrup is available for sale there. But a lot of people were asking what other products are from Canada, for example. And I think with Canadians, we were so reliant on a lot of US products that we're starting to ask ourselves, like, even in fact, when you go to the grocery store, you'll see strawberries from Mexico or strawberries from California. So now you can make the conscious decision. I'd rather buy, and maybe there are strawberries growing in Canada because we have lots of greenhouses now and in
Ontario and
certain
Quebec
parts.
have beautiful, beautiful strawberries.
Right, but at certain times of the year, maybe your choices are only, do I buy from the US or do I buy from Mexico? Which case, all things being equal, buy from Mexico or buy from Europe, buy from Norway, buy from Germany, buy from, some of these other countries to make a point to America that no, we don't want to become the 51st state, right?
Yeah.
So I think what was really nice was that there was a bit of camaraderie among, maybe even, for example, some people were saying, should Canada join the European Union, as crazy as that sounds? But there's some camaraderie between European countries and maybe Canada and Mexico as well, and to some degree even Asia, who are saying, these countries rightly feel like they're being bullied by the United States, right? So they can, and in fact, Canada, as we've all heard on the news, Canada is taking down some of these interprovincial trade barriers, right? So
Right.
it's easier for Canadians to get products from Ontarians to get products from British Columbia or from Nova Scotia or whatever. So those interprovincial trade barriers, I mean, I'm not sure they should have really been there in the first place, but
A little odd.
yeah, it seems like there was quite a bit of barriers there that were preventing interprovincial trade. They're taking down some of those barriers. Well, hopefully that's happening. But at the same time, hopefully Canada's realizing we need to diversify the countries with which we do business. So maybe Canada should be doing more trade with the UK, and Canada should be doing more trade with France and more trade with like Africa, and just on and on. Like, try to diversify the countries that we do trade with,
We've been
as
selling
opposed.
some Roxy's chocolate from BC to customers in Germany. They seem to be really
Wow,
into that British
incredible.
chocolate, and I've tried that
Brilliant.
chocolate here on the Super Hour. It is delicious. If you're
Wow,
looking for like
brilliant.
a Canadian flagship chocolatier, Roxy's
Right.
chocolate, really good stuff.
Brilliant. Love hearing that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Al,
So
thank you
good
so
luck with
much.
everything.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I hopefully we'll have you back soon. We're still planning to do a big shopathon, so we'll definitely get you on there as well. And
Thank you
thanks
so
again for
much.
believing in the mission and for all your help getting this store set up. You and Jeffrey, uh, who's also been super helpful. It's been really nice to be able to work with you on this, and I appreciate having you on the show.
Thanks very much. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Al.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Cool. That was really nice to have Al on here. I appreciate him coming in. And I appreciate you too, Jeff. It was a good convo. Thank you both so much. Let's play a round of Canadian or Not. That interview was so interesting. It seemed to fly by. So um, we don't have a ton of time left, but definitely enough to play a couple of games just to kind of keep our Canadian or Not chops up right now. So for those of you who don't know, the Canadian or Not game is I bring up an image of a person, place, or thing, and you guys get a chance to vote on whether it is Canadian or not. So before I start, just a reminder, if you're watching on Facebook and you want to participate in this game or you want to buy some of these products we're featuring on screen, come on down to buycanadian.tv. At any time, you can also go to buycanadiangroup.ca, and all the products in the all Canadian superstore are available there. Okay, so let's play a little Canadian or Not. And we are going to start the voting with our first selection, which is Trivial Pursuit. So we want to know, was Trivial Pursuit a Canadian invention or not? And we'll give it a few seconds to see what people think. So far, the votes are coming in Canadian, although it is close. So we'll leave it open for a couple more seconds. Do you think that Trivial Pursuit is a Canadian invention? All right, let's stop the voting. And you are correct. Trivial Pursuit is a Canadian invention, and I have a fast fact on that one for you. I'll just pull that up. We don't need facts on Hank Snow right now. We need Canadian or Not facts. Here we go. So Trivial Pursuit is a Canadian invention and was created by Canadian journalists in 1979. I was thinking now with AI, it would be a lot easier to come up with 10,000 trivia questions. But Trivial Pursuit did really rock the world, and was Canadian, and you guys got it right. So amazing. Let's do another one. I'm going to reset the votes, and we will keep this rolling here. The next one is, let's remove Trivial Pursuit. The next one is the rollerblade. Is the rollerblade a Canadian invention, or rollerblades? Because you need two. Otherwise, it's quite awkward. I know in some of the rinks here in Canada, they allow the rollerblading to happen in the hockey rink while the ice is off. I know that happens in my neighborhood. They also have roller skating there, which is a whole different game. But we're wondering if the rollerblade a Canadian invention or not. So far, we've got a tie. Who's going to break the tie? Remember, you can vote more than once. If you're pretty sure of your answer, you can button mash that thing. But we've got a tie right now. If the tie is not broken, we will end the voting in 2 seconds. And that's it. Oh, not Canadian has won the vote. And that is correct. The rollerblade was invented by 2 Minnesota hockey players in the 1980s. So actually, parts of Minnesota are further north than Canada. So they also have a claim to the northern feel and to skating and hockey and all that stuff. That was pretty good, though. You got it right. 2 for 2. Let's do another one. And I'm going to reset the votes. And the next one is one that kind of gets my goat. It's not my favorite invention. But we want to know if standard time was a Canadian invention or not. In the meantime, while you're voting, you can also be shopping. You can purchase the peppermint sage soap from Mother Earth Organics right here on screen, or any product from Mother Earth Organics. Meanwhile, the votes are coming in on standard time that it is not Canadian. So far, no one has voted that it's Canadian. All the votes are for not Canadian. I use this image here. I know it has U.S. cities in it. That's just a coincidence. It's not a hint. And we will stop the voting in 2 seconds. Is standard time a Canadian invention? All right, so you guys said standard time is not Canadian, and that was pretty close, but it is not correct. Standard time is a Canadian invention. It was actually Sir Sandford Fleming, who I believe has a parkway somewhere in Canada, who is a Canadian engineer who proposed the global system of standard time zones. So, someone once said to me about standard time, it's like chopping a foot off one end of a carpet and sewing it onto the other end of the carpet and thinking you have a longer carpet. Not exactly, right? It's a bit annoying, but maybe at the time it was a big breakthrough, and helped. Certainly the world adopted it. Okay, if you guys are game, I'm game to keep going here. Let's bring up another product just so we can feature that. We'll go back to some Hank Snow. If you guys want to buy this Hank Snow album, it is available. There is only one available. So if you want to buy it, you're going to want to buy it now. Okay, let's continue playing Canadian or Not for another few minutes here. We've got something very near and dear to us coming up next, and that is the goalie mask. So I'm going to make sure these votes are reset. And we're going to ask you, is the goalie mask a Canadian invention or not? I assume before goalie masks, goalies just took the pucks in the face and were tough and lost their teeth or broke their cheekbones. But the goalie mask was definitely an important invention. So far, we are at 3 votes Canadian, 0 votes non-Canadian. So it's a shutout. Do we have other votes coming in, whether that you think the goalie mask is Canadian or not? Obviously, it's taken on a whole cultural appeal of its own. I think wasn't there a horror movie where the guy wore the goalie mask? It wasn't sort of a friendly one like this. It was more like probably the original one was the scarier looking, kind of looked like a cast on your face. Anyway, the voting is going to be open for 2 more seconds, and I'm going to stop it. And oh yeah, you guys got it right. The Canadian invention, the goalie mask, is a Canadian invention. It was Jacques Plante, who was the first NHL goalie to wear a mask, and that was in the year 1959. So you can think about all the decades before that in hockey where people just took the puck in the face, or maybe got out of the way of the puck and let in some goals. That might have been the MO back then. Okay, let's reset the votes and do another one. I'm, keeping with the sports theme. I want to know if instant replay is a Canadian invention. So the technical process to be able to replay in an instant video from previous in a broadcast. I don't think the first instant replay machine looked exactly like what you see in this image, but not too far off. A lot of knobs, dials, and switches, right? It's old school control rooms. Kind of like what I'm doing here, although I don't have, we should get some instant replay in stage 10 so we can, all the scintillating moments that happen here. So we've got a very close vote. Canadian is ahead by 1 vote. I'm going to give it 2 more seconds and we will reveal the answer right now. And the vote is that it is the instant replay is a Canadian invention, and that is correct. The instant replay was first used by CBC during a 1955 hockey game broadcast. So that would have been 4 years before the goalie mask. They were also already doing instant replays. And I don't know if back then they were a little more conservative and, if the goalie got hit in the face with a puck, maybe they wouldn't show the replay. Now they'll show you anything on the news, full-on snuff videos are available. But back then they might have had a little more decorum and shared that. But anyway, it was 4 years before the goalie mask. Canadians invented the instant replay, which seems slightly less urgent than the goalie mask, but, things don't always work that way. Okie dokie, one more here. We're going to ask you about another invention. Is the Slinky a Canadian invention? So for some of you, I know it was a big part of my childhood, having a Slinky. They used to be able to walk down the stairs on its own, which is kind of the precursor to the robot. Instead of building robots with AI, they should build a Slinky with AI and have it move around attached to your Roomba. It always looks like it's smiling. So far, the votes are coming in not Canadian. Interesting. We have no votes for the Slinky being a Canadian invention, even though it was enjoyed by Canadian kids. We're going to leave this open for a couple seconds and call it. Oh, we got a tie. Do we have a tiebreaker? Yes, we are seeing the votes now in favor of not Canadian. I'm going to stop the voting and tell you that you are correct. The Slinky was not a Canadian invention. It was invented by an American naval engineer, Richard James, in the year 1943. So I suppose that was right during the war. You'd think he would have been busy, but who knows? Maybe the Slinky was designed as a distraction for sailors during the war as they cruised the high seas in search of global justice. Okay, I think that's pretty good for today. We'll do more Canadian or not next week. And next week's show is going to be great. We're going to actually have Lex from Lex's Pantry here. She's going to be talking spice with me. We are going to be doing some spice tastings. She has a full Canadian spice flavor sample pack, which I'm going to feature here. And I can also give you a preview of what is included in this pack before we say goodbye today. So in the Canadian flavor sample pack, she's done a really nice job, including, and forgive me if I get this, if I don't get this exactly right, but the Danforth Greek spice, which is apparently a big bestseller, the Preston Italian. So I know Preston Street in Ottawa is kind of where the hub of the Italian community in Ottawa. So there's a Preston Italian spice. And I used to go and eat there all the time. I'm originally from Ottawa. And also the Halifax Donair spice is included in this. And also the Montreal Red, which is a chicken spice. So most people buy the Montreal steak spice, but the Montreal Red is actually quite delicious. And we'll learn more about that, open up some spices, talk about some recipes, learn about Lex's Pantry and her thriving business next week on the Buy Canadian Super Hour. In the meantime, you can keep purchasing anything you want along the side of the chat room there. And come on down to buycanadiangroup.ca anytime. Also, if you've ever missed a Buy Canadian Super Hour, on buycanadian.tv, that's not only the place where you can tune in for the live shows, we also have some amazing recordings where you can catch the previous shows and still purchase directly on screen. Anyway, for now, I'm signing off for the Buy Canadian Super Hour. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll see you next week, Wednesdays at noon Eastern on buycanadian.tv. Thanks again, everybody.